Nationally, 44% of homeless young people have been asked to leave home by family or friends.
13% have become homeless due to a violent relationship.
14% have lost their rented accommodation.
In 2006-2007, 6,061 young people were accepted as homeless in England.
That's 8.5% of all acceptances nationally.
In Kenya, the main reasons for a young person becoming homeless are being asked to leave by family or friends or a relationship breakdown. However, in some cases, young people are forced to leave due to violence within the home.
These statistics, however, do not give the full picture.
The hidden homeless make up for a far larger proportion.
Sofa surfing can go unreported but makes up a huge number of homeless people.
Nationally, 11% of homeless young people are those who have been in care.
After London, the South West and South East are the next highest regions for 16 to 17-year-olds using bed and breakfast as accommodation.
Homelessness is a serious problem.
Hello and welcome to this short informative film on homelessness within the Carrier area. The aim of this film is to help and guide young teenagers who may be thinking about leaving home, and to also act as a source of help for any individuals who may have friends that have left home or thinking of leaving home at such a young age. During the next 10 minutes, this film will cover the issues of what is homelessness, homelessness in Carrier, the real deal, what it's like to be homeless from people who know, the risks of leaving home, and help and advice. This film has not been made to tell you what to do, instead to act as a rough guide with all the issues falling within homelessness. In the production of this film, we've worked closely with young people who have been and are homeless to give a real inside-out perspective. We've also worked closely with agencies that deal with homelessness in Carrier to help provide a truthful and clear picture. So what is homelessness? Now that question might not be as easy as you may think. Homelessness doesn't necessarily mean sleeping rough on the streets. It could mean staying on a friend's sofa, which is given the term sofa surfing, moving from one friend's house to the next with no real home, no privacy and no security. It could also mean staying in a bed and breakfast, in a hostel, or being shifted from one temporary accommodation to the next. No consistency, no routine and nowhere to call home. Homelessness is an issue that has a very simple park bench style stereotype attached to it. But it's far more complex than that, and has varying faces and manifestations. Now, as you may have heard at the beginning of the piece, behind London, the South East and South West are the next highest regions for people using B&B as accommodation in the UK. That's a shocking statistic, considering how small Cornwall's population is compared to the other counties and major cities across the country, but it still doesn't give the full picture. A common situation in areas where there's lack of affordable housing, such as Cornwall, is the number of hidden homeless, those people particularly young or single who sofa surf. It's difficult to put an exact number on this, but Connections, which helps all 13 to 19-year-olds to get into learning and work by providing independent, impartial information, advice and guidance, estimated in December 2007 that up to 40 clients on their caseload stated that homelessness was an issue. So we've explained to you some facts on homelessness in this area of Cornwall. We've also explained to you the seriousness of the issue. Now, in this section, we're going to talk to some homeless people who live in West Cornwall and hear their story, their experiences, the real picture.
Hi, my name's Kaylee. Hello, my name's Shoni. I became homeless 2 weeks after my 16th birthday.
Well, it started off when I was quite young. Falling out with my mum all the time and things because basically I thought she was being unfair to us when she wasn't. She was looking out for my own interest basically. You know, I was never going to school and things, and I was always backchatting her and stuff when she said I had to be in or I had to do this or whatever, because I thought, you know, I'm growing up enough to do what I want when, you know, obviously I wasn't.
My dad actually was living with my stepmom at that point. and she really didn't actually want me around, and she became pregnant, and then they said, right, we ain't got the room for you, so they kicked me out.
Well, I'd say for the first week or so of moving out, it was brilliant. As soon as I realised that you can't afford the transport to go out and see my friends, to see my mum, to go and wash my clothes even, it got to a point I couldn't afford food and I was hardly eating.
First thing I did when I was kicked out was I went to my grandma's house. I was sleeping on their floor for 2 weeks, I think.
I mean, when I first started to realise, that I couldn't go home and have all the things done for us that I usually do, like having my washing done and having my meals made for us and things like this. When I fell out with my ex and I couldn't go home, none of my friends particularly had a place where I could stay, and if they did, obviously it's only for a couple of nights.
My next accommodation was actually down the road, living with my friend. I suppose it was that I was in with their family and they didn't really want me there. After that, I got put in a hostel in Truro, which I absolutely hated. For the first month, I had to be in at 10:30 every night. I wasn't allowed to stay out, I wasn't allowed a late night. People take your food without asking, and obviously you're not on a lot of money if you're living in a hostel, really.
Obviously you don't want to sleep on the streets and things, and I got the 7 days given to us by the council, and then I had nowhere after that sort of thing. I mean, I was desperate to try and find somewhere to stay. I couldn't even think about going to school at that time because I was constantly going around and trying to look through newspapers and ask around if there's anywhere to rent and this, that and the other. And I think that's one of the worst things, the not knowing what's going to happen next sort of thing.
Living in hostels, absolutely, it's so different compared to home life. Obviously you're living with people that you don't know. You have to share facilities with them, obviously with a kitchen, a lounge. So if you're watching telly and they want to watch something else, you're fighting over a remote control, which is unreal. When I was on my own, first of all, it was quite scary.
I think you face a lot of dangers when you first leave home, to be honest, because I mean, you've got that safety of always having somebody there.
It's not as good as people would think it is. It's not nice living on your own, but living off £46 income support isn't really a lot to live off, considering you've got to buy food for a week and any other bits that you need.
And you really can't afford anything nice, like to go out at the weekend or things like this. If you see something in the shop that you like, 9 times out of 10 you can't get it unless you end up not buying your electric and your food for the week. So really it's absolutely impossible. I mean, you can't get anywhere, you have to walk everywhere until obviously you get old enough to get a job and start driving and things.
I absolutely hate being on my own, and for most of it you are actually on your own. Like, it makes you more anxious and everything because you don't know what's going to happen next. I think the bit that scared me the most was that I know that I would never be as close with my family anymore, because obviously you're on your own and you don't live with them, so you don't spend a lot of time with them.
I mean, there's a place in Cornwall that specialises in homelessness in young people, and they do a counselling service and they help you try and find a flat. But when they say they help you try and find a flat, basically they'll shove a few newspapers down on the table and tell you to look through them. I mean, they can give you the counselling side of things, if you're having a really difficult time at home, which really is the best way to go about it, so you can try and sort your problems out rather than running away from them, really. Because that's, if you're not just running away from problems at home, all you try to do is thinking, I'm going to get a brilliant life on my own, which is never going to be the way it's going to be.
If you're thinking about leaving home, if your home life isn't actually that bad, you just get those odd arguments with your mum, stay, because you would have a so much easier life. You get your clothes bought for you, you get your food cooked, you get your washing done, you get everything done for you. You get it handed to you in a plate. You don't when you're living on your own, you've got to do everything for yourself.
If you're having a few arguments at home and things, and you keep getting told the same thing by everyone, when you're looking out for you and this, that and the other. I know you never really listen to everyone at the time sort of thing, because I know I didn't, but you've really got to just think they're looking out for my own good, really, and even if you do think they're over the top sort of thing, you just got to grit your teeth and bear it, because it's going to be a lot worse when you're on your own, having to deal with everything and what it is, putting up with a little bit of bickering here and there.
It is a myth of how you get loads of free money when you move, but you do get help, but not extreme help.
Yeah, it is a complete myth that you're going to get everything sorted out for you. I I mean, you've really got to lose out on so much to try and get so little, really.
Don't leave home, just stay at home. Just stay put.
If you think about leaving home, I'd really, really reconsider it, because as it is now, I mean, you've got to think of the long term, not just the short term. I've left home for 3 years now, and it's got to a point now that I've got that much debt that I've just got to give up my flat and go straight back to point one, either moving with my dad or my mum or whoever will take us, really, because I've got to pay back all my debts now.
So you can see, leaving home is harder than you may have first thought, and a difficult situation to get yourself out of. Yes, there are agencies such as Connections which can help you through the difficult times, but it is something that needs a lot more consideration, and we strongly advise you to look at the options you have before leaving home. Some of you watching this may or may not have been in a similar situation to the people we've interviewed, or may be thinking about leaving home yourself. This section is all about highlighting the dangers and risks of leaving home at such a young age without giving it enough thought. Most people think that when they leave home, they can easily get their own accommodation from the council, or stay at a friend's house until they do so. But the reality is, it's not as simple as that. It takes weeks, sometimes even months for accommodation to be set up. And even if you are eligible for it, unless you're on the housing benefit, you're going to struggle to pay for rent, provide food, heating, electricity, water rates. And that's not even taking into account the luxuries of a TV licence, so you can watch TV, and money to use for mobile phone calls. Hostels are another form of temporary accommodation. And if you're lucky enough to be placed in a hostel with space, don't think it's going to be luxury accommodation. It's not. Shared bathrooms, living space, constant noise, and sharing with people of all ages is the norm. Hostels are not the safest environments either, with a wide variety of people living there, all with their own problems. You don't know who you could be living with. Sofa surfing and staying at a friend's house can put huge strain on family and friends and can jeopardise friendships and cause bad atmospheres. Living under someone else's feet, with no space, no belongings to call your own, can be a very depressing situation. This won't be somewhere you'll feel like calling home. Homelessness is not something that should be taken lightly, and if you're at all uncertain about the future or having problems at home, then please contact your parents, guardians, tutors, personal advisors, visit your local Connections, access points, share centre, or one of the stop shops to get information and help on the possible options. Leaving home should be a last resort, but if it does come to that, then there are many people and agencies out there to help you. If you are currently homeless, or could be in the near future, then this is where we aim to give you some important information on what services, shelter and advice there is available to help your needs.
At Connections, personal advisors provide help and support for young people. Share offers advice and guidance, as well as signposting to counselling and health services. Carrier District Council offers advice for anyone who is homeless or thinking about leaving home. Anyone can drop in and get advice.
I hope this short documentary has been a help to you and has made a difference to anyone who has needed the advice that we've given during the last 10 minutes. As you can see, homelessness is an extremely large issue in West Cornwall, and the aim of this documentary is to try and change this by giving people the correct information to get their lives back on track and keep a roof over their head. Thank you for watching.